Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all our 12 Monarchs out there in Monarch Nation, coming off an exciting 59-58 win over the Citadel in what was a blackout, exciting game. Crowd was into it. Very appreciative of that 31st consecutive sellout, and it puts our team now at 2-2 overall and 2-0 at home. Very excited about that. Undefeated at home, which is one of our goals this year. We've never been undefeated at home, and that's a goal we've set as a team that we're really working hard to accomplish. From my perspective with this game, I'm very proud of the way we handled adversity in this football game. This was a back and forth game. There was a lot of adverse situations, if you will, and I felt like we handled them within the game, and we're growing and improving in that area. Proud of the fact that our defense ended this game with one of the most critical stops we've had as a program here on that two-point conversion, and I'm proud of how we competed as a team, which right now, when I talk about that word competition, that is critical to our growth and development as a team, as we're trying to get this mix of new guys, of veteran guys within, to make sure that we keep competing regardless of who we're playing, regardless of what the score is, regardless of circumstance. We've got to continue to develop that competitive mindset, because that's something we've had here consistently as a program, and I think that's number one reason why we're 40-12 as a program is that competitiveness. So I was really pleased to see that. Starting with special teams, the positives were we created two scoring situations in this game with the two onside kicks. The negatives were we allowed two scores in this game with a block punt that led to a short field and a score, and then with a fumble in kickoff return late in the game that also led to a score. I'm proud of our emerging youth on this team. As I've mentioned, right now we've got 57 of our 66 guys that are starting on these teams are underclassmen, and as I explained to Harry and Dave last week as a refresher, just from a math standpoint, because they both admittedly had struggled in math in high school. And I said the way we come up with the 66 starters is we have 6 special teams. There's 11 guys on each team, and as we talked about, 6 times 11 equals 66. So we revealed that last week. We got that covered, and 57 of those 66 starters are underclassmen, which speaks well to our future is now theme, meaning those underclassmen have got to grow up quickly, and also for down the road. And I'm no more proud of 2 guys in this game that are freshmen, Anthony Wilson, who recovered the first onside kick, and Scott Wiggins, who recovered the second onside kick. And I mention that because to have freshmen have that type of success in those critical situations gives them confidence, which we need to gain right now with certain guys. Anthony Wilson's a backup linebacker. Scott Wiggins is playing a lot of snaps for us at defensive end, and those guys gain confidence from those situations. They had big smiles when they were running off the field after doing it, and those smiles were still there on Sunday, so that was critical. And then for Jared Brown to come off his first mixed extra point and hit a 52-yard field goal, which is a personal record and a school record. Defensively, proud of the fact that we forced 2 turnovers in the first half. That was critical at the start of this game, because at one point early in this game, Citadel was up 28-14, and our defense had 2 fumbles. The second one, we were down 28-21, was a perfect play for us to grow on. Preston Smith reaches in, causes the fumble. Falante Misher scoops it up and would have scored. He got tripped up by an offensive lineman. We get the ball in the 13. We score on the next play to tie it at 28. So it was critical to get those 2 turnovers. I'm proud of how hard those guys competed on defense. You know, if you look throughout the course of this game, they weren't feeling like they were having a lot of success throughout the game, yet on the 199th play of the game and our 78th snap of defense, we come up with that stop on the 2-point conversion, which was absolutely critical in winning this football game, and that was made by a couple players were involved, Falante Misher and Reggie Owens, but Reggie Owens had the most physical part of that hit. Falante forced it to the sideline, and that was Reggie Owens' 78th snap of defense in this game, which makes me even more proud of him. Now, the obvious thing we've got to do, we've got to coach better in that phase of what we're doing defensively, and we've got to play better on the field, and we will. I'm confident of that. Offensively, 0 turnovers for the second week in a row, and that's absolutely critical right now in what we're trying to develop, to not turn the ball over. We're now +4 turnover margin on the season, meaning we've taken the ball away 4 more times from our opponent than we've given the ball up. And other than those back-to-back punts in the second quarter, we scored on every possession. Our other 9 drives equaled 8 touchdowns and 1 field goal, which is a very impressive efficiency. We've got to clean up some things with penalties on offense. We had some critical penalties on a couple drives, and I know we will. Speaking to Albany, this week's opponent, they're 1-3 at this time. They're 0-1 in the CAA. Albany is one of the teams that has replaced us in the CAA. Good football program. Bob Ford, who's their head coach, is a coaching legend in our business, and this is his last year of coaching. They're a good, solid football team. They were 9-2 last year. If they don't lose to Wagner and lose out on the conference championship, they would have been a playoff team. They know how to win on the road. He knows how to coach, so I don't have any doubt in my mind that they'll be a formidable opponent this week. And at this point, I'll take questions.
Hey, Bobby, as you pointed out, math is not my strong suit, but you guys are allowing 64% conversion rate on third down.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a concern is that? What can you do to improve that?
Well, it's very concerning, and what I'll say is we've got to do a better job coaching. That starts with me and our defensive staff, and we've got to do a better job playing. Those situations, and we can go round and round with stats, Dave. I'm sure there's a lot of them right now that don't look pretty in that regard. But that comes down to coaching. It comes down to finding the strengths of our personnel we've got right now, and it comes down to developing that personnel, and that's what we'll do.
After the game, I don't recall exactly what you said, but I think you said that there was some miscommunication between coaches and players.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how much of a factor that may have been?
Yeah, there was some miscommunication in all phases, all 3 phases. That happens in every game. Whether we win or we lose, there's always areas that we're trying to improve on. There were a lot of snaps in this football game. There were a lot of critical snaps in this game. And when we talk about those things, Harry, when we're trying to communicate, particularly when we've got a lot of newness within our program and we're trying to make adjustments during the game, part of coaching is you've got to know your personnel and know how much can you do in terms of adjustments during the game. How much can you change? For example, they were running a trap play, which was very successful. They ran that play probably 10 times in this game. They'd shown it once in the previous games leading into this. So we're trying to make that adjustment on the sideline, trying to get our kids to understand exactly how to fit it, how to play it. And when you do that, you've got to make some adjustments to your scheme. And that's part of what we've got to evaluate right now. How much can we do? How much can we adjust? Because it's not just that game, it's the games moving forward. Same thing on offense. We had 2 drives early on where we got forced to punt. Well, they made some adjustments on what they were doing schematically with their front and their blitz package. Some really good adjustments. And there was a lot going on the sideline after those 2 drives with Coach Scott, our offensive coordinator, with our offensive line coach, with Ron Whitcomb, with Taylor Heineke. There was a lot there. Now, we can do a lot more there. We've got a lot of veteran players on that side who can really handle it. So, and then the same thing in special teams. We had to make some adjustments on what we were doing, particularly on the punt. After you get a punt blocked, you've got to get some things adjusted quickly. So in all 3 phases, there's a lot of situations where there was a lot going on the sideline Saturday night in terms of communication, coaching, and evaluating.
Was that last onside kick a call play, or was that a confusion there?
No, it was call play.
Call?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that there?
Well, I felt like that was going to give us the best chance to win. To do that at that situation in the game, there was 3:30 left in the game. We were up 59-52, and I felt like, number one, if we recovered it, game's over. We're going to win the game right there. Number 2, if we don't recover it, if the Citadel recovers it, then 2 things are going to happen. Either we're going to stop them and win the game, or if they score, I can use my timeouts within that drive and there'd be enough time left where we could come back and score to win the game. So I didn't have any doubt in my mind, Tom, in that situation that Kevin Higgins, our head coach, if he scored, I knew he was going for 2. It was on the road. He hadn't been able to stop our offense at all that night, so I knew what he would try to do is drain the clock down to 1 second, score, go for 2, and win the game 60-59. So from my standpoint, when I was looking at saying there's 3:30 left in the game, if he drives and his team scores, and I know he's going for 2, I want to leave as much time on the clock as I can for us to be able to try to get back down the field and score. And what happened was when they went for 2, there was 1:35 left, and I was able to save one of our timeouts. I only had to use 2 of them. And in that situation, that's something we practice all the time. I didn't have any doubt in my mind if we had to. We could go whatever we needed to, get the distance, either score a touchdown or get Jared Brown in field goal range. He'd already made a 52-yarder so that we could in turn have enough time to win the game.
Well, how much time did you spend weighing the short field, possibly giving them the short field that you did, as opposed to possibly pinning them, 80 yards away?
How much time did I spend thinking about
I
it?
mean, was that the call there?
Yeah.
That
You asked me how much time it took me to think about it?
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was something that you had to really think about.
0. There was no time in terms of should I do it, shouldn't I do it? Because again, my whole process was if we kick it off, and Jared had put most of them in the end zone, so they probably would have got the ball in the 25. My whole thought process was either we're going to stop them and win the game, or if they've got to go 75, if they go all the way 75 yards, it's probably going to drain all the clock. And then there's not even an option to try to, come back and score again. I would probably had to use all 3 timeouts within the drive. As it was, they started on our 38-yard line, and the clock went from 3:31 to 1:35, and only 38 yards of field, and I had to use 2 of our timeouts just to preserve that much time within the drive. So, again, that thought, I don't want to mislead anybody here. The thought process was, number 1, recover the kick, game's over. We'd been 2 for 2 on them. And then number 2, that our defense would stop them, whether it was 75 yards or 38 yards. I thought we'd stop them. And then number 3, make sure there was enough time left that we could still win the game. That was what went into it, just like that. That was 26 years of thought process, though. It wasn't just that. It was 26 years of studying those situations. And then ultimately, we did win the game. We won 59-58. That was the ultimate one. Right, Ted?
Exactly.
Bobby,
Yeah.
given the issues that you guys are having on defense right now, how much does that stress the offense, and how much does it affect things like play calling and just kind of the offensive game plan, knowing that you can't consistently count on the defense, to put you guys in good situations?
Well, first thing we're all pulling in the same direction on is that we're going to improve. We're going to get better on defense. And I'm 100% confident we will. I don't have any doubt we're going to get better. The second thing it's done is it's really put us in a great situation, Dave, to have discussions like we had yesterday in the team meeting about, hey, we're all in this together. And that presentation of we're all in this together. And I could see it on the sideline. The other coaches can see it. I was talking to Brian Scott about this morning, that the offense is 100% behind the defense. They keep telling those guys they're going to get better. Our offensive kids feel like they've got to do a better job in practice, helping prepare the defensive guys. Because I've been on the other side of this. I've been on the other side of this deal where the defense has been dominant and the offense hasn't been so good at one of my previous coaching spots. And the most important thing that happens is the kids really rally around each other. Now, our guys on defense, they're not, they're not deaf. They hear the comments. They hear the things from outside the organization. But what's critical from my standpoint is to make sure everything they hear from within inside our team is, hey, everybody's got everybody's back, and we're going to stick together no matter what happens, and we're going to get better as a team. And that's what I'm seeing right now, Dave, from our kids, which is really encouraging.
But does it affect what you guys do on offense and kind of how you guys go about it in terms of play calling, schematics, anything like that?
If it does, I haven't seen it because as you know, you've been around us, you've seen our offense. The goal is always to score every possession, score as efficiently as we can, and just keep piling the points up and putting them on the board. We're a veteran, good football team right now, offense. We're a young, growing team right now on defense that's trying to find itself. And what I want, and I keep telling this to every coach on our staff, is we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to stick to the plan. We're not going to change. And it's going to help us, I think it's going to help us win now. And I also think it's going to help us build for our future and where we're headed in Conference USA. But I emphasize win now. That's why I keep telling our guys, that's the goal, to win now. This isn't just about next year, it's to win now.
Anything else for Coach? Bobby, the David Bourne penalty, the dead ball foul, you were pretty upset.
Did I appear that way?
Just a little. Did you,
I was encouraging the official.
I assume you looked at it on tape. What were your thoughts after looking at it on tape?
Yeah, initially when the call was made, my reaction on the field here is more about the fact that I didn't see the play stopping. They might have been blowing the whistles, but the play was going back and forth. There were Citadel defenders that were pushing our guy back, and then there were Old Dominion offense players that were pushing our guy forward. And then the explanation that I got from the official the next break cleared that up for me as to why they made that call. And I understood. I understood why they made it. Doesn't necessarily agree with it, but I understood why they made the call.
Why did they make the call?
He said in his determination that the play had stopped and that David shouldn't have continued into the pile like he did at that point. So that was his explanation. And I understand why he made the call. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but I understand. Those guys are good. I'm really impressed overall, just in a general sense, with the Conference USA guys. I think they're very good. Even if you don't necessarily agree with something, you get a very clear, thorough explanation as to why they made the call. And that's good. It's what you want as a coach. You want to know so you can teach your players. And you look at us this year, Harry, compared to last year, it's night and day in terms of penalties, calls, what's been called. It's clearly not the same. I'll leave it at that.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, 12th Monarchs. It is a blue out this weekend. Your Monarchs will be in blue. Have a great week.